Hello, hello. It's episode 10 of our Mindset to Result podcast. And today our guest is Afam Onyenakala. He is speaker, he is also a coach, and he has his business, and he is here to share with us about his perception in relation with mindset, fatherhood, and mental health. Hi, Afam.
Hello, Elena. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Happy to have you here on our podcast today. And we are here to hear about your story. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where your journey started.
Thank you very much. I have a podcast that I started nearly 3 years ago called Learning for Legacy. And with that podcast, what I started to do is I started to talk about um, generational wealth and family enterprise. But I originally started talking about it from the perspective of where my grandparents came from in Nigeria and their story, and how that translated to the journey from with my parents as immigrants to the United Kingdom, and then me being born here in United Kingdom, and me ultimately starting an enterprise from there. So with my journey, with the immigrant experience, with where my family came from, my grandparents grew up in a period of Nigeria that was moving from the colonial period under the British Empire into the post colonial period where Nigeria became an independent federation. And with my grandparents, their collective history is one of real estate, land ownership, and enterprise. But as a result of ethnic persecution and internal conflicts within the country, their journey became one of a nomadic journey. And ultimately, with the civil war in the country of Nigeria, my parents immigrated to the United Kingdom, started a brand new start. And with a lot of the immigrant experience, you're starting a lot of things from scratch. And so with me growing up, it caused me to ask many questions about legacy, about generational wealth, about enterprise, about how does your upbringing shape your outlook and your mindset? How do these systems and institutions around you have an influence on that? So with my journey, a number of years ago, shortly after the financial crash of 2008, I was in a situation where I had lost a job, and I was observing some of the challenges that were happening with families that I knew of. And with my passion with personal development, I then decided to start a business called Legacy Learning. And the whole purpose of that business is to create a framework to enable families to have multiple income streams and not to be solely dependent on a single job or affected necessarily by the shocks that may happen in an economic climate. And so, to pivot to your perspective on mindset, which is what we're talking about today, I would say that my journey as an entrepreneur commenced from a change in my mindset, because I believe that anytime a person starts a business or entrepreneurship is ultimately a spiritual endeavor, because you are taking an invisible idea and concept and you're translating it to making it a physical reality.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And all starts with the desire to find that burning desire that you really want in life, and you also believe that you meant to do that. Yes.
Absolutely.
And when you
Absolutely.
believe and you have faith that it is there for you, and that gives you that inspiration to go for that and to overcome the challenges and all the roadblocks. And what helped you to find your burning desire? And what is that?
I would say it's a combination of two things. I would agree to your point that it's inspiration, because a lot of my drive and my action in terms of creating a business came from a desire, it came from a personal vision I had. But I would say that a lot of times, and many times we don't often hear these stories, but I believe it's becoming much more prevalent, is that a lot of times successful businesses, successful enterprises of any shape are not necessarily the result of a desire or burning passion. A lot of times, most of the time, is as a result of a crisis, because the crisis forces you to make a decision. It sometimes squeezes you into a place where you're forced to be creative. And when we're in a creative position, that's where all manner of ideas, businesses, new ways of doing things, disruptive ideas come and push the endeavor forward. We look at it in many, we see the examples all around us. Automobiles. Why did automobiles come about? That was a solution to a transport problem. Um, when we look at a business like Uber, a very disruptive technology, it changed the game from what taxis were traditionally. So I would say that in my journey, it's been a combination of both. It's been a combination of inspiration, but it's also been a combination of challenge or crisis, which has forced me to be creative or look within myself, see what giftings of talents that I have, which sometimes when everything is comfortable, you don't see. But all growth takes place outside of our comfort zone.
Yeah, I'm very agree with what you said, and I would like to acknowledge you for the attitude which you had,
Thank
because
you.
when it comes about to speak about the crisis, the attitude is the very important thing, because in the same situation you had this positive attitude to see what you could do in this situation. You didn't think that, oh, why I am victim, why this everything bad, and why this happens to me, right? So I want to acknowledge for your choice to look what you could do, right? And you started focusing your attention not on the problems, not on the crisis, but how you could move out of that, how you could grow. Tell me a little bit about this. Like, what was that situation in your life that it was hard? And in that moment, you discovered the power inside you, which you didn't know that you had before.
I think there are a number of things, but the first thing that comes to mind was the fact that I was left with a very clear choice. Um, I could either create my future or by default take on a future that other people would choose for me. So when you when you make that decision or you take that leap of faith, there are all manner of challenges that come with that. But ultimately, victory goes to the brave. And what I also did is that with my journey, I didn't just look at what I was doing. I also spent time to read the stories, the success stories of people who have already done similar to what I was looking to do. And by doing that, you also realize that many people that are on the journey of success go through many of the similar challenges. Many of them have had either loss of some kind, some people have gone through bankruptcy, some people have gone through personal family tragedy. And it's all about reframing the situation you're in. Often the majority of people tend to run away from problems, but entrepreneurs and producers, The difference here is that we tend to run to problems because our ability to solve a problem is going to be what makes us successful. And with that journey, it's many things are very interdependent. So when we look at, if we look at it in a natural sense, if you look at a seed in the soil, in a seed is potential, the potential to become more. But that seed cannot become more by itself. It has to work with the soil. So when you place that seed in the correct environment, it's able to flourish and become more than it already is. So the journey, I've discovered that the journey of success is one of positive things, negative things. It's a journey of collaboration. It's a journey of discovery. And it's also a journey of choice because in order to go forward and become more, you have to also leave things behind. So you cannot go into a greater future until you leave an old mindset behind. So the biggest journey, the biggest challenge often we find is not external things, it's often the battle within ourselves.
Yes, yes, and everything comes with decision. Yes, decision not to be a victim of the circumstances. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I liked how you said that victory goes to brave. It's because really, in some situations, you have to be brave, and especially when it seems that everything just crashing. Yeah, like sometimes it even feels like you cannot do anything, right? And it needs it needs to have that perception that there is solution, right? And when you start looking for solution, maybe it is not even on the surface and not visible initially, but when you focus your mind to look for solution, not to look the problems, yeah, but knowing that there should be the way. And when you focus to look for that way, then how you find it, right? And I liked how you said that you should be brave, yeah, because you don't know. You don't know. You just take the first step and you don't know where you are going, right? You don't know what is ahead. And why we should be brave, because in such moments we just make decision based on our intuition, I would say. Yes, because we don't see visible facts that confirms that it is right decision, but we have something in us that shows us the way, and ability to listen to that inner voice, and to listen and hear that intuition. It helps us to make the right step. It happened many times in my life. And how did it help you in your situations?
You've raised some very, very good points there. Um, you really have there, and I would say it's a number of things. I'd say it's rooted in the journey of how we process our thinking, really. Um, because I'll give you a bit of an example of how I see the journey from the thoughts we take on board to the actions that we translate. So if we look at thoughts as seeds, right? Every On any given day, we're surrounded by a number of thoughts, external stimuli, and those thoughts are like seeds, but they don't become anything until we take it into our conscious mind, right? And with our conscious mind, we've got a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. And with our conscious mind, that's effectively like our short term memory. And our subconscious mind is where our long term memory sits. But the way to um, move move the journey of our words into our subconscious mind is by repetition, because in our subconscious mind, this is where we harvest our beliefs, we harvest our assumptions, but they don't just happen that way overnight. It's as a series, as a process of repetition, we then generate these beliefs. So, for example, I'll give you an example. If we're listening to a song today, we will not remember that song in our long term memory until we sing that song every day. You sing that song every day, you're using memory um, you're using repetition as a memory device, because that's effectively what it is. Repetition is a memory device. So by repeating something over and over again or singing your favorite song, I can ask you, if you were to tell me who your favorite artist is right now, I can almost guarantee that you could recall every song from your favorite album just like that. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's because you used repetition as a memory device to drive those thoughts from your short term memory into your long term memory, your subconscious mind. And it's in that place where we harvest our beliefs and our assumptions. Okay. And then it's a very unique place because that is where we then begin to move into the spiritual realm. Because if we to take that one step further, our spirit holds many things such as our ideas and our solutions and our intuition, just as you mentioned earlier, which is why sometimes we're going through a situation and all of a sudden we have a hunch, we have an idea, something comes from within us. And you sort of say to yourself, where did that come from? How did I get that idea? Where did that idea come from? These ideas and thoughts come from a much stronger spiritual place. Um, so yeah, that's what I would say initially. Yes.
Yeah, and it is also in these situations where we go through challenges. It helps me always to understand that there is the law of opposites. So it is always good in the same proportion of the bad. And this is our ability to focus our attention to good. And when we start focusing and looking for it, this where we find it.
Yes. Yes. I for me personally, there are a number of places that I get my inspiration from. And one of the places which I find actually quite inspirational is in the Bible. And the reason I say that is because when I look at a lot of the people that I've read, people and that I've studied, people like Jim Rohn, people like Norman Vincent Peale, many of these giants in the area of personal development, a lot of their ideas, a lot of the roots of their ideas and philosophies have come from the Bible, where they've fused theology and psychology to develop very foundational success classics that we read and enjoy today. So when I've actually dug a bit deeper, sorry, and looked into that, I see that there's a lot of foundational wisdom and resource in books like the Bible that are actually timeless, that we can actually learn a lot of things from. Um, I'll give you an example. There's a scripture that talks about, it says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And if we break that down, that's essentially saying that the way you grow and the way you develop will be determined by how you think and what you do.
Yes, exactly. Bible is the book which so many years ago described all these principles which people later put into books. I also love Neville Goddard. His
Yes.
also are based on the Bible, and uh, it is Jim Rohn quotes this also from that stand guard at the gate of your mind. Yeah, because the information which you let into your subconscious mind will be dictating who you become.
Yes.
And many principles can be found in Bible. For example, Jesus Christ, when he told about relations with other people, yeah, and the law that treat other people as you like to be treated. So
Yes.
we can see this in Bob Proctor's teachings, who was my mentor, that everything is energy, and the same energy which we send to universe, we receive the same. Yes, so here where it comes that we have to forgive yet other people and understand that their action just based on their limited conditioning because of their limited beliefs about themselves. And this,
Yes.
I liked how you told about renewing your mind. Yes, because we always have to renew our mind and always have to grow, because there is nothing that is stagnant. There is only the way to grow or going backwards. And
Yes.
when we understand that we have this huge potential and that we can achieve everything, what we can just think about, and when we understand that this such potential is within us and it is us who can use it, and everything comes from studying ourselves. When we learn and understand who we truly are and what we can achieve and how we can transform that energy which we receive from God, and by thoughts we give this energy the forms, so then how we start being conscious about what we think about every day, because our thoughts become things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it was either it was Earl Nightingale or Napoleon Hill that said, you become what you think about most of the time. And it's very true. Your thoughts do become things. Your thoughts, and again, it comes back to what I was saying earlier about those thoughts, our ability to move those thoughts from our conscious mind into our subconscious mind. Once they're in that subconscious mind, for us, we are this is where our beliefs and our assumptions about ourselves and the world around us are established, and that ultimately determines our our choices we make, because we will act based upon what we believe, correct? And
Mhm.
so when we come back to what you said earlier about mindset in business, that is sometimes the difference between a person starting a business or not starting a business, a person taking a leap of faith to create an endeavor and not. Somebody may have come from a family whereby nobody else in their family has ever done what you are attempting to do, and sometimes that journey may include hearing voices of doubt. Oh, why are you about to start what you're about to start? What makes you think you can achieve what you're talking about? Nobody in our family has ever done that before. Nobody in your sphere of influence has ever done that before. What makes you think that you can achieve that? And if we don't if we don't frame our thinking correctly, it's very easy to allow those external voices that may not necessarily have a part to play in our journey of growth and our ultimate destination. If we're not careful, we allow those voices to derail us from taking the steps necessary to become who we're supposed to become. So I agree, mindset is important, but I also agree the voices that you allow to frame your thinking are equally important, which is why I like what you said about the fact that Bob Proctor is one of your mentors. I believe everyone should have a mentor, because These are people who have reached the places that we are either looking to go or looking to supersede, but at the same time as well, with having a mentor, I think that we should also not just be simple followers, but in order to become a great leader, you must also be an intelligent follower. And by and when I say being an intelligent follower, what I mean by that is that just because somebody approaches you to be a coach or a mentor doesn't mean that because they're successful or great that you should choose them. Because number one, do their values align with your values? Does their character align with your character? Do they have a certain degree of competence that you find credible or authentic? And I think these are sometimes the questions we also need to ask when we either choose mentors or we listen to teachers or instructors who have skill sets that either we would like to develop within ourselves or grow in. Because one of the things that I always say is that character and competence are two wings of the same plane. You can't successfully fly one without the other, because your character is the essence of who you are. That's the person you are when nobody is looking. Personality is what people see, and your reputation, but your character is the real you that is there that when nobody sees that. But then your competence is your skill set, it's your aptitude, it's your gifting and the like. And sometimes the the problems that we see in society is that you can have somebody in a position of power and influence, whether it's in government, whether it's in leadership, that have a great skill set that is either generating a lot of money or growing a great deal of influence. And people often will want to follow that person because of their platform and their ability to generate something great from their skill set. But do they have the character as well to balance that skill set? Because you can be very skilled. I'll give you an example. You can have someone who's very skilled at what they do, but their character is so corrupt that this person would cheat on their wife with a work colleague and not see anything wrong with that. And it's a recipe for disaster. That's why I feel that authentic leadership must combine the two, character and competence.
Yeah, I'm totally agree with you. And those values, I think the values are the key. When we look for mentor, we look that that person, ha- for me, this person has to be a role model and has the values which also align with my values. And when we look about creating that new self-image, and this is literally we can write the script of the person who we want to become. And as we discussed earlier, through repetition, reading and rereading and visualizing yourself as that person, you can embody that character and embody that personality. And you can create it because who you are today, that person who you are today, is just some some combination of habits and beliefs which were built in our early age when we were infants, when our subconscious was open and all information which we received through our five senses, what we heard, saw, it what created our personality. And now, when we become conscious about who we are and who we want to be, we literally can write the new image. And as you mentioned, that we should be intelligent followers, so we can look at different people and pick up different characters, yeah, different features from what we love in, because maybe it will be not all in one person, but we can see in different people who we like, who we admire, and see what exactly we would like to implement in our right, embodiment. And
Yes.
this is how we can create our new self image, and through repetition, when we think about this, we start acting as that person. And this is how our feelings change, our actions change, and this is who we become. Yeah. So, the great idea which you mentioned here, that we can become who we want, we can become which thoughts we choose, and who we decide to become, and build that new image in ourselves and become the person who we're meant to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is why for myself, one of the areas that I talk about a lot is that of fatherhood, because there are a great deal of challenges that I believe fathers face today, such as mental health. And we see statistically that in a lot of homes, there's an absence of fathers. And the knock on effect of that is family breakdown, increase in crime, substance abuse, sometimes domestic violence, which affects our families. And this ultimately affects the state of our communities and long term, the effect of our cities and our nation, as it were. And so, when we, because our conversation today is a lot of it's to do with mindset, one of the reasons why I talk about fatherhood a lot is because when we have healthy fathers, healthy, very strong mental health, the knock-on effect for our families and communities is priceless. You can't quantify it really, and and it's such an important thing. It's so important. I mean, if you've got anything you'd like to ask me about that, I'm more than happy to touch on why I'm quite passionate about the area of fatherhood as well. Um,
Yeah, definitely. I would like to us to speak a little bit about this role to be a CEO, yeah, have business and having those big goals, and also be good father and have this work life harmony, to spend time and give what our children needs to have from us, that love and care and time.
I think that being a great father should embody both, because I think when we look at the old industrial revolution model, where you had traditionally that it would be the men would go out to work and go out to war, and they would spend disproportionate amount of time away from the home. Um, you know, in many ways for valid reasons to provide for the family. But the the challenge with that model is that you have a generation of families growing up with fathers either present physically but absent emotionally or relationally. And again, as we were talking about, important books that are rooted in wisdom and philosophy. Again, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "What good is it if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul?" So, what good is it if a father, a man, or even a woman, as a CEO, builds a great business but loses their family in the process? It doesn't help anyone. So, with fatherhood, I like to also look at the issues affecting fathers in our societies today. Um, because I think now, more so than in the past, a lot of focus is now on mental health. You find there are many more forums and opportunities for men to talk about mental health challenges compared to what it was like in the past. And I think it's a healthy thing because there are various challenges that come with that. If you're starting a new family, if you're starting a new business, a new relationship, moving to a different country, there's so many relational factors, emotional factors, um, transitional factors that are important that again focus on mindset. And when we have a breakdown in thinking, a breakdown in mindset, this is what then leads to various mental health challenges and issues, which then result in problems such as substance abuse, such as suicide. And a way that we can reverse a lot of that is through, in our society, in government policies and practices, to create spaces to encourage strong families, strong relationships, strong marriages, strong a strong focus on men understanding what it is to have the spirit of a father, because I believe that you can have the spirit of a father well before even having children. And that's and with that, we're talking about issues such as understanding what it is to provide, understanding what it is to nourish and encourage families, understanding what it is to be an example at home and an example within business, being knowing what it is to focus on self-care, as opposed to selfishness.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Um, they all starts from family, yes, and people who raised in loving environment, who have attention of their parents, they grow up and they become confident individuals who see themselves successful, and vice versa. Children who don't have necessary care and understanding, they don't know how to control those emotions, and they have those blank spaces which they try to fill with something else, right? That is not always the right thing to do. That's why it is so important to have that life work harmony and understand that there are priorities. And I agree totally with you that for me also family is the priority. It is number one because the health of my family. I also have a daughter. For me is the biggest priority in life, and this is what I encourage also other people to look at the time how they, because now we have so many things, right? And we especially when people are very driven, right, ambitious, and they want to do so many things, and they can just lose that harmony, yes, and just focus and think, oh, I want to achieve that, I want to achieve that, and then they think that okay, they will do the rest soon, and it can just take longer, right? And the family can be just um, stay behind, and this will affect, of course it is will affect the mental health and well-being of family and also society in general. So I'm totally agree with you. And if we would like to, if you would like to give one advice from your experience to CEOs, interpreters who want to become more in this life, to have more, do more, what would be that?
I would say focus on becoming that better version of yourselves first, because a lot of times what people tend to want to chase is things, possessions, as it were. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a new car or a great home or a great business, because sometimes people want what they see others achieving already. And I think the way of looking at that should be opposite from what our culture tends to suggest, which is have things first and then you'll be great. But I think it should be the other way around. I think we should first become first. It's like the you should become a great person first, and before multiplying and becoming great, and then you can have all of these other things afterwards. So um an example of this is in my relationship. I'm married, but I didn't become a husband at the altar. I became a husband first before I got married, because to be a husband is different. The mindset of a husband is different from the mindset of a single man. But I had to grow from having the mindset of a single man to that of the mindset of a husband before I got married. Because if I entered into a marriage relationship with the mindset of a single man, it just results in disaster. Because when you're married, you are now a completely different identity as a unit. So you have to operate with the mindset of everything I do is to serve my family. So automatically, you can't be a selfish person going into a relationship of that kind. So I use that as an example to say that anything that any person wants to achieve, they have to first become that version first within themselves. And then they will begin to attract either the opportunities or the things they need to move into the direction of becoming that. So, for example, you're an entrepreneur yourself, but you became an entrepreneur first in your mind before you made the steps, before you took the forward step in creating a business. So that's what I would say. You
Yeah.
start from,
Mhm.
sorry.
Yeah, continue, please. You
No,
wanted to
I'd,
say.
I'd finished. I'd finished. Yes, I'd finished.
Uh,
Thank you.
yeah, yeah, I really love that what you said, that, and it resonates with me, and it reminds me about the quote of Earl Nightingale about success. And he said that success is progressive realization of the worthy ideal. So this is how we can connect to this topic which we discussed, that you said about greatness, that you are great every day. When you are progressing towards your goal and you do your best every day, and you become your best every day, it means you are successful. And this is important, to enjoy this process and live in this moment every time and be happy. Yes, and I like how you said, come to relations with mindset of that renewed person in the new role. Yes, and see yourself there. And the same as be happy. Don't think that you need somebody to make you happy. Yeah, but be happy. Be that person that you can give others. Be that leader that you can give others, and you can be a role model. It doesn't matter if it is about your business in your workplace or it is in your family. Yeah, be the leader and be happy and grow every day. Be great. Be grateful also, and you can be anybody you want. You can made yourself, made that first in your imagination, in your mind, and by realization of that idea every day, you can see it take in physical form, like manifest in your life. Yeah, so thank you, Afam, very much for your time and this amazing discussion. I really enjoyed it. And
Oh, Thank you very much, Elena. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're most welcome. And I wish you the best day today. And see you again. I would love to discuss some other topics about mindset because I really
That would be
enjoyed.
great. That would be great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you and see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye for now.